Hey everyone, welcome to the Top Tips for Student Success. This is our webinar on Top Tips for Student Success. I am Joel Strimling, the Dean of Freshman Students, and with me I have Michael Cullop.
Hello, how are you? My name is Michael Cullop, and I am the Dean of Students.
Yes, and we normally would have also our academic advisor, Melissa Trujillo, with us. Unfortunately, she's not able to be with us today, but I know she sends everyone a welcome, a hello, and is hoping that she gets to chat with you in the near future. Actually, I think I can change slides to show you a picture of us. If I can get it, there we are. So obviously there's our lovely little smiling faces. Can't see mine, I'm hiding it, but that's okay. And in this webinar, essentially, we are going over kind of some things that we think will help you be more successful as you get started with us. We'll cover kind of expectations for online learning, time management, classroom tips, tech support, some library resources, and then at the very end, we'll obviously also have some questions and answers, although you certainly can type those during the webinar if you wish as well, but we will be following up with them at the end of the webinar rather than throughout so that we can kind of keep a consistent flow. But with that, we'll go ahead and get started. That may seem like a lot, but really this won't take all that long, I don't think.
All right, so we're going to talk about what we expect and what you should expect as well from your time at ACHS, and mainly as a student in an online learning environment. You are part of a community. You're part of the ACHS family, as we like to say. So really important, like any community, you want to make sure that you're an active participant, one that you're communicative and you respond in a timely manner to other peers, your instructors, as well as staff at ACHS. And one thing I want to cover initially, and just one thing that I think everybody may not do as much as they should, and that's asking for help when you need it. Throughout this, you're going to hear us, ask for you to reach out to us, reach out to your faculty, and reach out to your peers in class for help. I use an analogy of going to school is much like joining a gym. It's very exciting in the beginning. You have really big plans and goals. And so it really is going to take dedication. We're going to talk a little bit about time management, as well as participation and how to prepare, as well as the technical aspects. So really want to make sure that you know that we're here to support you.
Yep. And I'm going to say I love that first slide right there with the cogs on it, because I think it's a great show of exchange of ideas that Michael's talking about, and of course the kind of synopsis of our mission statement below that we're helping you to foster knowledge and fostering knowledge ourselves with the holistic sciences and natural medicine. But that community that you mentioned is kind of key to that. So.
All right. So we mentioned time management. Hey, Joel, you want to talk a little about what the first bullet point is there?
Tempus fugit? Tempus fugit is Latin for time flies. As a good friend of mine once told me recently, as the older he gets, the faster the days go by, but the slower the years go by. Or no, backwards, I'm sorry. The slower the days go by, but the faster the years go by, which I actually have to agree with. So it's so easy, of course, to have a day just speed by, and then you're like, oh my goodness, I've got all this work to do and homework or whatever else. So, yeah.
All right, well, that leads right into what I want to talk about in time management. We've found, and just based on our experience and the many students that we've both worked with, making sure that you have a plan, you sit down, and you carve out time for your studies. Some folks are really detailed list makers. Others just need to make sure that they have dedicated time on their calendar. And so we want to make sure that everybody takes that into account, and before you get started in your term, that you are making time for yourself throughout the week, dedicated. Really setting it up as if you were in a classroom, and then making sure and underscoring the fact that everyone needs a minimum of 10 to 12 hours each week. And I think that really depends on you as an individual, and so that's a guideline that we like to provide. But for our newer students, we found that sometimes it could be a little bit more than that, depending on your abilities, your technical ability, your understanding of online learning, and other folks that may have a deeper experience or longer experience in online learning. They can shave time off. But ultimately, reading is reading. You know how much time it takes for you to read a certain amount. And so as you gain more experience and spend more time here at ACHS, you'll refine your process and know how much time you'll need to dedicate each week. Yeah.
I definitely usually recommend, especially for new students, whether you've done online studies or not, for the first semester or two, I would suggest scheduling yourself 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. And while that may sound like a lot, it's actually not. I mean, it's just 2 hours. And the advantage of that is it's better to have too much time than not enough. If you're taking one, and that's just for one class. So if you're taking one class and you schedule 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then you find you're done, well, you could either work forward or, hey, you didn't need that time, which is great. But we all know the worst thing in the world is when we're trying to do something and we're going like, I just don't have time for it. It creates panic. It means that you just don't do as well as you know you can. So.
All right. And really, when we talk about managing your calendar, being really specific to the days of the week and the times. And so we have some really great tools that we're going to get to in a little bit in Canvas, which is our new learning management system, which is our online classroom. But essentially, making sure that you know that our project papers discussions are due on Thursdays, and our exams are due on Sunday. So just making note of that. And one of the great things about Canvas is in the calendar feature, it will automatically assign those assignments to days of the week, and you'll know with a really quick at-a-glance view of what's coming up in the next week.
Yeah. Well, I'm using like this graphic is if you're cell phone savvy or if you use a day planner, like this graphic, putting things in there as well, even on your own, is a big help, I think. Mm-hmm. So,
all right, wonderful. And one thing, ultimately is I'm a bit of a procrastinator myself, I have to admit, and so we just want to make sure that we don't delay in that. And there's a bullet on there that talks about late work. We want to make sure that you learn the material. We want to make sure that you have time to do so, and so making sure that you communicate with your instructor as well as student services to let us know what's happening in your life. You don't have to go into the details, but definitely let us know that you're having challenges. And our late work policy states that you will not be marked down if you communicate in advance of turning that in. And so really make sure that you communicate with your faculty member as well as student services when you're not going to meet a deadline, and then we'll make accommodations for that.
Yeah, just be sure to try and email before the due date. That's the big key to that policy. And again, you can certainly visit that online if you want to get into the nuts and bolts.
All right, so participation. Everyone has their own preferences as to how much or how little they like to participate. When I was an online student, I chose 3 days, and those were the days that I participated. Other folks really like getting in there every day and responding to other students. You'll find a frequency that suits your needs. But really the big point I want to make is, especially when you first start your courses, making sure that you hop into the Cyber Cafe, make sure that you post your bio, and that's really the introduction. You're introducing yourself to the rest of your class as well as your faculty member, and that's where you can start to build those relationships. As we mentioned, this is a community, and so the more you put into the community, the more that you are likely to get out. We also have discussion boards. So Cyber Cafe is the social area of the classroom. The discussion boards are the coursework assignments for that week and discussions for that week based on the material that you're covering with your instructor and your textbooks. So making sure that you're posting those discussion boards, or to those discussion boards, at least once a week with your assignments that are due. And really making sure that you take advantage of the experiences shared by other students in response. That's where a lot of the value I've found in my studies is getting feedback from other students as well as faculty members, and then also don't be afraid to share your experiences as well. Many of our faculty are also facilitating live chats during the week, once or twice, depending on the instructor. So there's many more tools in Canvas that allow our faculty members to interact with you, and so and build a relationship. So it's been really great to see that, and you can also schedule those with other members in the class as well. So that's really a great feature of Canvas. And then finally, part of participation is also making sure that you ask questions. and make sure that if you have some input on a question that someone else posts to the group, make sure to share, and it really builds a dynamic and really great experience in the class.
Yeah, I agree. And just for a little clarification, if anyone doesn't understand what Canvas is, even though you've gone through like orientation, Canvas is our online classroom, for lack of a better term. So you can call it Canvas, or you could just call it going to class, whichever you prefer.
All right. All right, and then prepare. You know, a big part of coursework is making sure that you know what's on the horizon. And so not only preparing for this week, but preparing for the next. And so we have made, or Canvas has been designed, the online learning classroom, to be very, very intuitive and user-friendly, and to give you all that information in one spot. And so when you're looking at the syllabus and you're looking at the assignments, always check due dates, always look at your calendar, making sure that you know what's coming. There's notifications that will you can modify within the classroom that'll help notify you of when assignments are due, as well as your faculty are very great at notifying you of things that are on the horizon. So just making sure you're checking in consistently, and then setting aside time to look what's on the horizon.
Yeah, and if you do have any questions on how to modify those notifications, Michael mentioned in the orientation, of course, there's information on how to do that, and you will have access to your student orientation the entire time you're a student with us. And also, certainly, please don't hesitate to contact us, or even Canvas technical support, which we have links to both in the classrooms and at our website. And they're available 24/7, so if it's not during our office hours, they're always there. And that kind of also goes into, I think, our next slide. Yeah, technical stuff, gears, cogs, and wires. Sounds like a movie or something. I don't know, maybe a documentary? Something on OPB maybe I once saw. So I wanted to go ahead and take a few minutes to go over just some of the technical stuff with everyone. Not anything in depth. Don't worry. You don't need a notebook. You don't need a diagram or flowchart. But you know, the thing is, it is online, and online is meant to be an advantage, not a hindrance. But I also recognize that you know, in the years I've been here, that the first steps, especially if you've never done online studies, can seem quite daunting. And even if you have, the different formats can be quite challenging because they are so different. One school may do something so differently that it just doesn't seem to make any sense with what you're doing now. So as I mentioned, you can review your student orientation at any time. We have technical support 24/7, 365. Doesn't matter the holiday, day, night. You could just have insomnia. Feel free to call them. They're there. And so that's available for all of our students, and it's been a big positive. But you know, again, the whole point is that we want this to be seamless. We actually want you to be able to get into the classroom and be learning the material, not worrying about the technical aspect. So if there is any challenges to that, please feel free to contact Student Services to chat that through, and we're happy to go ahead and help out and walk through things, whatever we need to do. So, and on the next slide, I was going to go over one of the advantages, of course, of having a technical or online campus is that, well, it's mobile. If you have a laptop, you can carry around your laptop. If you have a tablet, you can carry around your tablet. And there is, yes, a Canvas mobile app, so that you can even download that on your phone. And that's cool because it lets you keep track of, you know, the activity and discussions in your classes, the assignments on your calendar, all those things that Michael mentioned, where the notifications will send you emails, or even, I'm not sure if they can set up text or not. I'll actually have to check on that. Oh, see, text as well. Of course, data rates may apply, as they say in all the commercials. So it'll allow you to have all that kind of notifications and even check in with the class and respond. In general, though, we do recommend, if you're going to be posting a full assignment or taking an exam, you probably won't want to do that on your phone, because having to zoom in and out and scroll around the screen in a timed environment would be rather challenging, especially if there were any sort of interruption to signal. So as far as for the main work, we do say that a laptop and or a desktop dedicated to your classroom is the best way to do that, and of course having a secure and direct internet connection that can, you know, handle it. But you know, it's nice to be able to have the options to be mobile when you want to, or go on trips, things of that nature, and also why we're able to be in 80 countries worldwide, of course. So common technical issues, though. Let's take a brief moment to review some really common technical issues students contact us about. Fortunately, there aren't many, to tell you the truth. And again, when there are, either usually we can fix them or the campus support line will be able to help you out. Honestly, I can't say how awesome they are, enough say how awesome they are. They've been just brilliant. So one of the most common ones, of course, I forgot my login or password. And of course, your login, fortunately, will be usually your email, your student ID number, which you've received from us. And there's a nice forgot password link, as you see on this screen or slide here. And that's right at our homepage, achs.edu, under the login section. So it's really simple. You would just click your forgot password and go follow the instructions there. About the only other common thing we sometimes hear is that someone may be having issues accessing a page or a link. If a link is for some reason expired, you know, the web moves at such a rapid pace anymore, and URLs are changing all the time. And so while we endeavor, our development team endeavors to keep things as pertinent and up to date as possible, yes, of course, once in a blue moon you may come across something. Now, we may already be fixing it by the time we even call, but don't hesitate to give a call to either Student Services and or Canvas to see what may be going on with that page. Ultimately, though, it should be a pretty quick fix again as well. The only other thing I think I really wanted to go over as far as kind of gear, cogs, wires, cool things like that is that in your classes, you're also going to have a virtual library. It's just like having a library on a campus, only it's virtual. So again, the cool thing is it's really mobile. There's a library launch pad in every class. You'll see on the left scroll bar. And in that launch pad is all sorts of wonderful journals, medical resources such as PubMed and Natural Standards Database. Gosh, there's so many things in there. I'm trying to even just brainstorm. There's, you know, client intake forms, assessment forms. Just, I mean, I actually recommend, you know, if you ever do have that quote-unquote extra time, which it seems like none of us do, but if you do, just browsing through the library, you'd be surprised what cool things you'll find in there. So I really recommend it. And then also on this slide, you'll notice that there's an email for our librarian. We do have a librarian, so if you have questions about library use, journals use, locating things, she's also really good even with things like if you're having problems using maybe part of the APA or REFME within the library, things like that. Lauren is actually our librarian, and she's awesome on all of that and really willing to help. So you can always email librarian. And again, you can also, of course, certainly email us, and if we don't have the answer, we can, you know, correspond with her as well and kind of get that taken care of. But I think that's kind of all I had as far as the really technical aspect. But you know, I guess the thing that we're kind of trying to put forward is we really hope you enjoy the educational journey you're undertaking with us. And I actually said to a student today, you know, our goal is not to just get you through your studies and see you successful, but our goal is to see you successful in your goals after your studies. I mean, and I sincerely mean that. I've been here 11 years now, and I wouldn't have been here that long if I didn't really believe that. So, you know, you can see this slide. It says, you know, remember why you're pursuing your studies, and you know, and it has one of my favorite quotes on it, by the way, by an educator, John Dewey. I believe that education is a process of living and not a preparation for future living. So, yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this and have a good time with it. You have anything on that?
Yeah, I think that, you know, one of the things that I hope that you all take away from this, as well as your time here, is that we're really building a community, and part of that is being part of a community is learning together. And so the relationships you build here, we hope that they carry on beyond the classroom.
Yeah, I agree. And then, so I mean, hopefully you're feeling ready to get started. Ready to get started and excited and eager. And you know, each semester arrives so fast. So you're starting now, and the next semester will be here before you know it, and the next and the next. This is honestly gonna be fun. You know, of course it's work, but it's cool. It's something you're passionate about. You want this, and we want to see you successful at it. So you know, be relaxed, but be prepared, as this says. You know, and get started and just move forward, as we've mentioned. And it looks like we have a couple of questions. So what we'll do is, I think we had our Q&A kind of at the end, but really beyond this, we just have some contact screens. So if you're fine with it, Michael, we'll just start answering some questions, and then we'll flash up the contact information after we're done, everyone, just so you can have that as well. But it looks like we have a question. I have an upcoming vacation, or no, I will not be able for a specific time frame. Am I able to work ahead? Well, that's a really good question. Yes and no, kind of a funny answer. Yes, absolutely. We certainly would recommend that you email both your instructor and student services, however, because you will want to make sure that you're engaging in the class. And so if you were to work too far ahead, you wouldn't be engaging in the class. That said, when we say that there's something due on Sunday and Thursday, if, for example, Sundays and Thursdays, those are your busiest days, and Tuesdays and Saturdays are better for submissions to you, okay, so you will submit your projects on Tuesdays and your exams on Saturdays. There's no issues with that. You just don't want to work too far ahead, because then you're not actively participating with your classmates, of course, and the faculty, and so that's not going to give you the fuller educational experience.
And just one side note on that as well is, if you know ahead of time, the first rule, or I guess the rule of thumb, is to always just notify student services and your faculty member. And if for any reason there are any concerns, then we'll talk about those and try to mitigate those with you. But outside of that, we try to be as flexible as possible. And so if you go dark, so to speak, for 3 weeks, then we'll probably not, we'll be worried about you. We'll receive a lot of emails and messages from us wondering where you were.
Yeah.
But if you notify us in advance, that's all we could ask for, and we'll set a plan with you and your faculty member to make sure that you're successful in the course.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like the next question we have is and it kind of probably ties to that last one in some ways, talking about time frames. It says, if at some point I'm feeling overwhelmed, what should I do? You want to start with that?
Yeah, I'll take that. I get phone calls and emails and texts and little birds carrying notes in through the window.
Pigeons, sweet.
Yeah, so the one thing I will say is that most of us, I'd say the majority of us, live very busy lives, and when we go to school, that's one additional responsibility or one additional consideration. And so it is very common for everyone to feel overwhelmed at some point in time throughout their studies here at ACHS. And so we want to make sure that if you are in need of help, or if you're having that feeling, shoot us an email, give us a call, and we'll help try to problem solve with you. Sometimes the resolution is, man, I just needed to talk about this, and now that I'm saying it out loud, I have a plan. And we are here to be a shoulder to, I don't know about cry on,
yeah.
but at least to a voice and an ear to listen and make sure that we can help you.
Yeah, to phrase that in a different way, kind of similar story. I was talking with a student, and I told her, I said, anytime you need to talk, and I phrase it this way: bounce the ball off the wall together. That's the way I look at it. Just absolutely. You know what? Sometimes we don't know the answer when you first call either. I mean, we'll have all the policies and procedures, but it takes actually talking to you to understand the situations and arrive at a plan. But you know what? We're gonna, just like you can. It just sometimes takes two heads are better than one, as they say. So we're happy to do that at any time as well. So even if you just want to call and check in and say, I'm loving the semester. We love hearing that too. Or, hey, I love this, but no problem. That's why we're here. We're honestly meant to be here for that. So definitely call, email, whatever you need to do. And then the next question we have is, how do I know what classes I need to register for upcoming semesters? Oh, I can take that one. That's one of my favorite questions, because you kind of don't. Now, that's not to say that you aren't going to know. The program catalog is actually available at achs.edu, website plug. If you go under the About section, there is a downloadable program catalog. I do recommend you either just review it online or download it each semester, because it is frequently updated. But that will actually show you the order that classes are designed to be in for each and every program, and each class may have prerequisites, things of that nature. That all said, our registration process going forward is quite simple. We actually now email our students their registration with all the information on it, so it has their name, email, address, all of that, all of their preference, including their classes. All that our students need to do is review all of it and ensure that it is correct. If it isn't, they just let us know and we make some adaptations and resend it to them. If it is, there's a button at the bottom that says Submit Confirmation, and that's what submits their registration back to us. So actually, while you can certainly look to see what you have next, and that's, of course, very valuable when you're looking at electives, for your core requirements, those are going to go in a specific order, and we'll help make sure that you're proceeding in the proper order to get the most out of your program. Did you have anything to add on that, Michael? Or?
Yeah, you captured it fairly well, or very well actually. And so I think the thing to keep in mind is that some courses have prerequisites, others need to go in a certain sequence. But we're here to help you navigate that because we work with scheduling courses all day long. So we're definitely a resource for that, and we are the ones that will put together that initial schedule for you. So that'll be based on a conversation we have with you to make sure that you're selecting electives that meet your educational needs as well as your interests, and then also building out a schedule that meets your what's the word I'm looking for?
Sure.
Escaped me. That meet your availability as well. So if for whatever reason you have a term where you need to take an additional class or a fewer class, that's where we come in to help you problem solve those areas.
Very good point. That's true. Yeah, if you need to change your course load, you definitely want to contact us. And then the last question looks like we have, unless more come in while we're chatting here. It says, let's see here. For active participation, how detailed do my responses need to be? Another really good question, and actually that will be outlined in your class, but it's not going to be a term paper, let's put it that way. You may have term papers, but the active participation component, the projects and case studies, things of that nature, I think they're about 250 to 500 words for undergrad and 500 to 750 for graduate, if I recall. I think that's about right, but again, honestly, that will be listed directly in each assignment in your classroom, because different assignments will be different. Some will have you be doing journal entries, some will be case studies, others may simply ask you to literally create a poster. So that's not words at all, but drawing, which thank goodness I don't have to do, because I am terrible at drawing, unless it's stick figures. Let's see here, is there any other questions?
Well, just one final point on that too. I think that whenever you have questions around that, the first point of contact is going to be your instructor.
Absolutely.
So whenever you want clarification about coursework, then you will definitely reach out to your instructor.
Yeah.
We can go in and look at it, send a clarifying questions or help you to write some questions to get the answer you're looking for from your instructor. But really, they are the leader of the classroom, and they're have the expertise to help you in that area.
That's expertise was exactly what I was going to use there. They're the experts in their field, and that's why they are with ACHS. So I mean that's why you should go ahead and really, anytime you have questions about the classes themselves or the topics that you're learning and the passions that you have, yeah, they're your experts on that. And I think we have one more. If Michael, you want to grab that?
Yeah, it says if there's one final big tip you could give, what would it be?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I've got one that I have.
Go.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I talk to students about, specifically that are just starting, is that your fellow classmates and your instructors are, I'd say, most students don't utilize them as much as possible. And so, I think we have our heads down and focus on the coursework. But one of the things that I think it's important, before you get into a course, start thinking about how you think you want to apply this information, later on in life. What are your questions, and start to ask those questions within the classroom, because ultimately the relationship you build with your faculty and with other students is going to carry on beyond what's in the coursework itself. And so making sure that you interact and get to know your faculty and other students will be an investment that pays great dividends, beyond the course and your time at ACHS.
That's a very good point. And actually, to tie into that, while I was thinking about what I would answer here, I actually think mine ties in similar ways. I would say take your studies even beyond your classes, however. Let your friends know what you're doing. Involve them in it. If you have, lab work that you can do with them, and do it. If you and let them know that you're in school, so that they are aware of it, so they're not, calling you to go out to a movie during a time when you have final exams or something like that. So this is going to go permeate into your life beyond online classes. So why not start that now rather than later, so that you can expand upon that as you go through your program. So I mean, that's I think where I would go with that. Looks like that's the last question we have. So here is our contact slide that we promised, which has, let me just try and clear some windows off that I can't see. There we are. So it has all of our email information, student services email. As I mentioned, Lauren, who is our librarian as well as our Dean of English, has our 800 number, and of course lists the hours that we're here in that specific time as it says. You know, and everyone who attends this will get copies of these slides, and actually anyone who even signed up but was unable to attend today for any reasons also will get a copy of this webinar. So you will certainly have all this information. So again, you don't need to be scrambling to write things down or screenshotting things of that nature. Last slide here, of course, thumbs up, you know, taking off on the runway. So from here, all of us, of course, yeah, I'm excited. Welcome again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys just soar and do well. I don't know if you have anything to add, Michael.
No, very excited to work with each and every one of you, and I'm sure we will be in touch and be talking with you many times over the course of the next year.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys taking a few minutes today to hang out with us, and from all of us, again, we'll look forward to chatting with you throughout your programs. But have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.